Hello, my name is Rosaline Callaghan. I'm 61 and I live in Derry in the north of Ireland. I'm also living with hereditary amyloidosis, which is a rare, progressive, inherited disease. Up until a few years ago, the landscape was very bleak for people with hereditary amyloidosis, but that has now changed in recent years. Even though it is an inherited condition, my family knew nothing at all about hereditary amyloidosis until my Aunt Polly, my father's sister, took sick, and Polly died in 1982. A few years after that, my father and I were having a discussion, and he said to me, "Rosaline, they're saying that this is hereditary. I think this is going to have implications for us." And that was to be very true. My own father first developed symptoms in 1991, and he died in 1997 after spending the final 22 months of his life in the Foyle Hospice. It was a very scary place to be, to know that something like this could be part of your life. And I can say from my own experience that it was very lonely because it was rare. We had no one else to speak about. I could hardly pronounce hereditary amyloidosis, so how could I expect other people to fully understand? I couldn't really fully understand it myself. So I went for genetic testing in 2007 at the National Amyloidosis Centre, which is the Centre for Excellence, and there it was confirmed that I carried the faulty gene.
So Mum was diagnosed with hereditary amyloidosis in February 2017. At the age of 51, she would have started to suffer from things such as irritable bowel syndrome, numbness and weakness in her hands and feet, and dizziness. Doctors couldn't find out what was wrong. The digestive issues were the worst. Her weight dropped to 5.5 stone at one stage, and nobody could provide answers as to what was wrong. In the end, she was holding on to walls to get about, and she was also diagnosed with Addison's disease and pancreatic insufficiency in the end. She had all the tests done, but no one could explain why all these things were happening to Mum.
Hi, I'm James Green. I'm Rosaline's cousin. I'm 55 and I live in Donegal. Last July, I was diagnosed with hereditary amyloidosis. When I had turned 50 back in 2016, I decided to research genetic testing and found myself online. I found a number of support groups in the US who were very helpful. But back in 2016, the outcome for patients with hereditary amyloidosis was quite bleak. However, by 2020, the landscape had changed quite dramatically. Gene silencing treatments had been approved both in the UK and across Europe, and in particular in Northern Ireland. There was also an application before the HSE for the approval of patisiran in the Republic of Ireland.
What the faulty gene does is it interferes with the normal protein production in the body. One of the proteins breaks down and forms amyloid fibrils. These are sticky and they can attach to every part of the body over time. Now there are 120, 140 different mutations or variations of hereditary amyloidosis. I have hATTR which has origins in a 15-mile stretch of coastline in northwest Donegal. There are approximately 50,000 of us now worldwide, where it travelled with the Irish diaspora, and people in America, New Zealand, Canada, of course, all have ancestors from northwest Donegal.
My name's Paddy Doherty and I'm from Gweedore, County Donegal. After confirming I had amyloidosis, I was really interested in getting into a trial held in London using CRISPR-Cas9 technology. CRISPR is one of the most exciting developments around and has the potential to treat many existing genetic conditions and cancers. It's a DNA gene editing tool that can target specifically the TTR gene in the liver, as is our case. With Amy patients, these TTR genes can mutate and cause amyloid buildup in various parts of the body. Although there are many types, in my case it's the T60A gene or the Donegal Amy gene. This is the first human CRISPR trial and is focused mainly on hereditary types of amyloidosis. To date, there are about 10 patients worldwide, and all of these are from either Ireland or New Zealand. There's no placebo involved, which is great, and treatment's given in a single dose over a 2-hour period. That's it done, no further follow-up treatment needed. After my review with Professor Julian Gilmore at the NAC London, who's doing brilliant work on behalf of Amy patients worldwide, I was referred to Richmond Pharmacology for the trial screening stage. During screening I had many tests involving nerves, hearts, eyes, weight, blood's physical ability and some others. After passing these, I was then given a date and put forward for the dosing, CRISPR dosing, which was great news to hear. On the 10th of April, I flew back to Richmond and was admitted to their ward. Next day at a specific time, I was given the CRISPR infusion or drip into my arm that lasted about 2 hours. Following this, a lot of blood tests were taken every 15 minutes and reducing somewhat over the next 24 hours. During all this time, I was monitored closely by a very helpful team of doctors and nurses to ensure everything went to plan. After the procedure, I remained then in the ward for another 4 or 5 days, where again I was very well looked after. The trial's been held over a 2-year period, during which we return regularly to Richmond for follow-up checks and studies. The main aim is to assess what level of CRISPR dosage is needed to completely knock out the TTR gene. Dosage levels to date have ranged from 0.3 milligram up to 1 milligram per kilo of your body weight. Apparently my dosage level of 0.3 milligram gave a 96% knockout of the TTR gene, which is really encouraging. However, this needs to be monitored over a much longer time frame. Eventually, once optimum dosage levels have been confirmed, then those patients who received a lower level will be given a top-up dose. If and when this treatment is approved, I hope CRISPR-Cas9 will be freely available and affordable to the thousands of other hATTR patients worldwide.
Mum has helped her family in a way she'll never know. Because she hung on for that diagnosis, she has made us aware of the condition in the family. Myself and my sister decided to get tested after she died. This was done quite easily through a consultant in our local hospital. We got our results back and it was confirmed that we carry the gene, so we can be aware of what is to come in the future.
I first developed symptoms in October 2018, and when I attended with the National Amyloidosis Centre in London, the diagnosis was confirmed. One of my professors told me that I was diagnosed around 2 years earlier than most people because I was aware of my family history and I was aware of the early symptoms. Once I heard that statement, that I was diagnosed 2 years earlier than most, I knew that I had to let other people know about this. I am grateful for those extra 2 years.
To quote Professor Gilmore, what was a progressive fatal disease is now a manageable chronic condition. Early diagnosis is still key, and this is really where genetic testing comes to play. I was very fortunate a short while later to enrol on a gene editing trial called CRISPR, led by Professor Gilmore at the National Amyloidosis Centre in London. I attended the clinic, Richmond Pharmacology, in January and had my infusion at the end of the month. So far the results are promising. CRISPR has the potential to be a cure for amyloidosis and is intended to be a once-off treatment.
Now I receive in my Derry home here a gene silencing treatment. It's a 4-hour infusion every 21 days, which will slow down the progression of the condition. It is a treatment and not a cure, so it certainly comes with its own set of challenges, but I would hate to contemplate the condition that I would be in at this stage without it, as I am just about to enter year 4 of hereditary amyloidosis. So we want to raise awareness among the general population. The most important thing that I want you to hear today is that if you believe you're affected, a family member's affected, a loved one, a relative or a friend, please know that you are no longer alone. We are now an organised group. We have hATTR Amyloidosis All Ireland Support Group. We have over 350 members. You are welcome to contact us. We will respond very, very quickly and help in any way that we can while respecting your privacy. We also have an awareness page on Facebook for the general public. There are treatments. The landscape is no longer as bleak and dark as it once was. And if you need to contact us, you are most welcome. Thank you for listening.